Good morning. Welcome to the Senate Committee on Commerce and Labor. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Daley. Here. Senator Ellison. Senator Flores.
Present.
Senator Lang. Senator Rogish. Senator Scheibel. Senator Steinbeck. Chair Pazina.
Present, and please mark Senator Scheibel absent excused. Welcome to the members of our audience in Carson City and Las Vegas, as well as those that are joining us online. Before we begin, we'd like to make just a few housekeeping announcements. First, I'd like to remind everyone to please silence all of your electronic devices while in the committee room. Members of the public may provide testimony in various ways, all of which are listed on the agenda. You may also submit public comment in writing, either in addition to testifying or in the place of testifying. If you wish to testify in person, please sign in at the table by the door and leave a business card with our wonderful committee secretary. When testifying in person, please turn on the microphone to speak and off to listen, as we have people listening and viewing the meeting both online as well as in Las Vegas. Please also state and spell your name for the record. Anyone who'd like to receive electronic notifications of scheduled bills and access to the committee's meeting materials may do so by signing up on Nellis on the legislative website. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other exhibits. Please do not view this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. And with that, we are going to move to our first agenda item of the day, and we will open the bill hearing on Senate Bill 370, revising provisions relating to manufactured housing, and we welcome Senator Taylor and her co-presenters.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the esteemed committee and very busy Committee on Commerce and Labor. Thank you very much for an opportunity to present this bill. My name is Angie Taylor, and I proudly represent Senate District 15 in Washoe County, Nevada. This morning, I'm here to present Senate Bill 370. God bless you. I'm here to present Senate Bill 370, which streamlines the process to obtain an ownership title for manufactured homes. I have two co-presenters, Mr. Jeff Beasley, who's here. He will respond. He will give a few comments with your permission, Madam Chair, after I speak, and then we will go to Mackenzie Warren, who is in Las Vegas. Good morning, and she will add in some comments as well, and then we will stand for questions. With your permission, Madam Chair. A little background information. Manufactured housing plays a significant role in Nevada's housing landscape. It offers an affordable alternative to traditional site-built homes. And I have a large part of my district that has an abundance of manufactured homes, or mobile homes as some call them. And many families have been living in them for decades, passed on from generation to generation. And somewhere along the way, they lose the titles, right? They don't have an ownership certificate and are reluctant to apply because it can be a lengthy and onerous process to obtain a new certificate from the Housing Division of the Department of Business and Industry. A constituent of mine, sitting right here to my right, buys and sells manufactured homes, and he began to tell me stories of the long process and the extended delays in receiving a new ownership certificate. And often, by the time the title is received, is obtained, the owner's loan has expired, or the potential purchaser, their loan has expired, which then means they have to apply again. Interest rates may be different, and so on. This time, potentially with a lot more challenges than before. Currently, Nevada law authorizes individuals owning a manufactured home or a mobile home or commercial coach to apply to the Housing Division for the issuance of a certificate of ownership title, even if they are unable to present the title previously issued to the owner. There are two procedures in such cases. The first procedure allows the division to receive an application for a new title, examine the case's circumstances, and then request from the applicant the filing of certain affidavits or other information. When the division is satisfied that the applicant is indeed entitled to the certificate, it may issue a new ownership certificate. However, if the applicant cannot provide satisfactory information to the division that he or she is entitled to the certificate, the applicant may still obtain such a certificate using the second procedure. The second procedure requires the applicant to file with the division a bond of an equal amount to 1 and 1.5 times the assessed value of the manufactured home and pass a safety inspection of the manufactured home by the division. Despite these existing procedures, the lack of a specific time frame for processing these applications and the absence of an expedited option have led to inefficiencies, frustrations, and disappointments for families living in such manufactured homes, as well as retail businesses such as Mr. Beasley's. Mr. Beasley, I'll go to him. He'll share a little bit, and then we'll go to Mackenzie. And if you'd like, or if you'd not like, depending, I can walk through the bill. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Morning. I'm Jeff Veasley of Jeff Veasley Management, Veasley. We have a PowerPoint presentation. Can I get the first slide pulled up, please? Okay. Okay. A lost title on the manufactured home is a common occurrence. Unfortunately, due to the age of many of the homes and the fact that serial numbers can be scratched off, damaged, or worn off with time, in my business, in order to purchase a mobile home, a title is needed. Currently, there's a problem with wait times in securing replacement titles, which can halt the sale and negatively impact the persons trying to sell or buy a manufactured home or the dealer trying to facilitate the deal. Owners that apply with the Nevada Housing Division meant for a replacement title can wait up to 3 months or more for a response or their new title. Senate Bill 370 attempts to speed up the timeline, helping owners and dealers alike. Homes cannot be sold without a title and can delay and cause the purchaser to lose their financing or incur other fees. Senate Bill 370 would allow buyers and sellers to receive clarity in a timely manner and resolve any title issues. The expedite fee is a voluntary fee and will allow people who need or want to have their titles processed faster done. I will now turn the presentation over to Mackenzie in Las Vegas.
Thank you, Mr. Beasley and Senator. Good morning, Chair Pazina, members of the committee. Great to be with you on a Friday morning. I'm Mackenzie Warren Kay, Warrenkay, here on behalf of the Manufactured Home Community Owners Association. This is the trade association that represents parks across Nevada. We have 176 mobile home park members. That consists of 17,000 lots that house Nevadans. And if you're not familiar of the structure in a manufactured home park, typically the park owners own the lots, and then our tenants or residents own the manufactured home that sits on the lot. It was our honor to work with Senator Taylor and Mr. Beasley on SB 370. Candidly, the bill has little to no impact on perhaps our members and the park owners, but it helps our residents and then those that work in the industry like Mr. Beasley. I do want to acknowledge the Housing Division. We worked with them on the language, and I believe we have Administrator Acroth present with you all in Carson City. SB 370 is a relatively straightforward bill. It's providing two pathways for manufactured homeowners to apply for that issuance of certificate of title from the division. I'll speak briefly to that second slide on the PowerPoint that breaks down the sections of the bill. The first provides for this faster title recovery process in the normal course. So this is section 2 in SB 370. And this requires the division to issue a new title or deny that title to an applicant within 45 days. And if the division is denying the application, the division will then be required to provide notice to the applicant and outline those reasons for denial within 10 days. So in some instances, this is going to shave weeks or even perhaps months off the process, really just improving the customer service experience for mobile home owners and those working in the industry. The second faster title recovery process will also apply to the bonded process that you heard Senator Taylor mention. This is section 3 of the bill. That really just brings uniformity in the chapter. And finally, the second aspect of SB 370, which is addressed in sections 1 and 4, tees up an expedited recovery process that we will work with the division on during the interim. SB 370 provides the division adopt regulations to set up this expedited title recovery process for those applicants looking for a faster option in exchange for a fee. So that's it, straightforward bill. We stand at the ready, Chair, to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Miss Warren K. I always forget the K. We'll stand for questions if it's your pleasure, Madam Chair.
All right. Thank you so much for the presentation on Friday morning. Do we have any questions from the committee? Senator Ellison, I would expect nothing less.
I know, I'm noisy. If you got an existing title, manufactured mobile home title, then that still stands current, does it not?
Angie Taylor, Senate District 15, for the record. Yes, Senator, it stands current. This is for those who do not have a title. It's been passed on and so on, it's been misplaced, serial numbers off and so on. If you have a title, then you won't need any of this in Senate Bill 370.
Because in the back, it calls for a total inspection on the bill, so you'll do a total inspection of the house. Is that what they're, if you couldn't find the title, they'll come in and do an inspection also, is that it?
Angie Taylor, Senate District 15. Yes, then that's really connected to the second piece. If you've applied the first option, the first procedure, and you've provided the documentation, and the division says, yes, we find that you're owner, then that's taken care of. In the second option, if you've been denied, and you only have 10 days after the denial to get that information, then you go through, it's almost like an appeals process. You go through some other steps, and part of that includes an inspection of the home.
And thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a quick question and then hand it over to Senator Rogich. It mentions an expedited appeal process and setting up that procedure. Was there a timeline that I guess had been considered in that, like maybe within 48 hours or within 2 weeks, or was there any discussion in regards to that timeline?
Angie Taylor, Senate District 15. I'm going to go to Miss Warren K, because she's the one who's been working with the Housing Division, particularly on working out the details of that.
Mackenzie Warren K in Las Vegas. Thank you, Senator. The Housing Division wanted to work with us on the expedited process during the interim, candidly, because the current software system of the division is just not great when it comes to this titling issue in particular. And so that was something we wanted to see if it could be fixed. There's also some changes that are happening internally, possibly dependent on some of the legislation that you all are considering this session. So we didn't decide on what that timeline would look like, but we wanted to make sure to leave it open, at least in the bill, so whatever was codified could be workable. And we were managing expectations both on the part of the applicant and on the division. So more to come there, Chair.
Thank you so much. Just curious, because I understand, part of the reasoning for this bill is so that interest rates don't change and people can quickly get that title. So obviously, depending on the timeline of that expedited process, that will be more helpful. Senator Rogich, and thank you for answering.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, and thank you for the presentation. I just had a quick question with regard to under Section 3, Paragraph 2, the 45 days. So it indicates that within 45 days, the division has to receive an application and bond. Do they need to also complete the inspection within that 45 days? And if not, how long would they take?
Angie Taylor, Senate District 15, for the record. Thank you, Senator, for the question. The inspection follows when you're going to option 2. And so if option 2 is when your application has been denied, and they have 45 days, the Housing Division has 45 days to do a determination. So that doesn't have to be a part of the 45 days.
Would they take a long time then in order to do the inspection? So if we're looking to expedite this under that 45 days, how long does a typical inspection take? In other words, would they take a few more months and drag it out, or can you put that in a timeline as well?
Angie Taylor, Senate District 15. Mr. Veasley, do you know how long it ordinarily takes to do that inspection?
Yes, ma'am. Normally,
Jeff Veasley, for the record.
Jeff Veasley for the record. Jeff Veasley Management. Normally what happens is you would make your application and then you would pay for a compliance or an inspection fee, and then they would schedule an inspection through the division. Normally it happens within a week, and then they will come in and inspect the home and tell you that it either is safe to occupy or not safe to occupy, or find whatever they need to find, and then the inspector generally responds to you within 48 hours.
All right. Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions from the committee? All right. With that, we thank you so much for your presentation on Senate Bill 370, and we'll have you take a step back from the table so that we can begin testimony and support on SB 370 in our physical locations, and after that, we will move to the phones.
Good morning. Thank you for the time, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Eric Clark, spelled E-R-I-C-C-L-A-R-K-E. I'm the Executive Director for Nevada's Manufactured Home Community Owners Association. We're a trade association that educates and advocates for the manufactured housing community in Nevada. So first, it's encouraging to see the legislature take steps to clean up our complicated titling process. It's been a major hindrance in keeping good records, as well as historically it's been overworked and understaffed. Providing an expedited process like this bill does will really help prioritize more time-sensitive title transfers. Second, this bill outlines a deadline for the Housing Division to deliver this title, which is a major improvement, as both tenants and landlords have frequently submitted paperwork for title changes and just not heard anything back. Having a statutory deadline will really help a lot with this issue. Third, on a personal note, it's very encouraging to see the state giving more attention to manufactured housing, the most affordable version of housing in the state. When legislators talk about housing, we're frequently lumped into single-family housing and other traditional rentals, but the manufactured housing industry is incredibly nuanced and unique. It is nothing like other rentals. So as such, I really want to thank the bill's sponsor, Senator Angie Taylor, and her other supporters for seeing this issue, being willing to take action to solve it. It's kind of rare that the manufactured housing industry sees a piece of legislation targeting it specifically to try to solve a problem that we see. So yeah, it's nice to see the legislature taking action. If there's anything else that I can do going forward to be helpful, I'm happy to. Please reach out, manufactured home community owners. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, not seeing anyone else coming to our physical locations broadcast, we are going to move to you. Is there anyone on the phone line who would like to testify in support on Senate Bill 370?
To testify in support on SB 370, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Caller, you are unmuted and you may begin. Caller with the last 3 digits, 848, you are unmuted and you may begin.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Dave Dazlich, D-A-Z-L-I-C-H, from McDonald Corano, today representing the Nevada Housing Alliance. The Nevada Housing Alliance represents the producers and retailers of manufactured homes, an option for Nevadans of all income levels to seek housing. We would very much like to thank Senator Taylor for bringing this bill today, a bill that streamlines the titling process and allows new options to help us get Nevadans into their homes. Thank you, and we are in strong support.
Chair, there are no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you so much. All right, with that, we will close out testimony in support of Senate Bill 370, and we will move to testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 370, starting with our physical locations and then moving to the phones. And seeing no one making a move toward the tables, broadcast, we are back to you. Is there anyone on the phone line who'd like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 370?
Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
All right, well, that brings us to neutral. Is there anyone who'd like to testify in neutral on SB 370? Please approach the tables, and then we'll move to the phones.
Good morning, Chair Pazina, members of the committee, Steve Acroth, Administrator of the Nevada Housing Division. Want to thank Senator Taylor, Mr. Beasley, Ms. McKay-Warren for their presentation and for bringing the bill forward. And we look forward to working through the process to expedite titles and work through the processes for the benefit of Nevada manufactured homeowners. And with that, if there's any additional questions, be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. I would just say, you know, once there's an idea in regards to what that expedited timeline would be, I would be curious, realizing that we have deadlines coming up in a week and a half and probably won't know by then. But when you do have more knowledge, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, Steve Acroth for the record. The expedited title process, as it was kind of thought out, we really need to get with the industry and to develop that because we don't know, to your point, what's the definition of expedited? 48 hours, 5 business days, something like that. What's going to work best for them? And then also how much that's going to cost for the residents and what a reasonable fee is. So that's what we're hoping to accomplish in the regulatory process.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't see any other questions, so thank you very much for testifying here today from the Housing Division. Not seeing anyone else to testify in neutral in our physical locations. Broadcast back to you. Do we have anyone who'd like to testify in neutral of Senate Bill 370?
Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
All right, thank you so much. We will call our sponsor back to the table to make any closing comments.
Angie Taylor, Senate District 15 for the record. Thank you, Madam Chair and Mr. Vice Chair and the committee members for allowing me to start my Friday morning with you and present Senate Bill 370, and I urge your support.
Thank you so much. Well, it's wonderful to have you here for the first time in Commerce and Labor. Thank you for joining us. And with that, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 370, and we will open the hearing on Senate Bill 376, revising provisions governing industrial insurance. And we will welcome our Vice Chair, Daly, as well as any co-presenters to the table.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Skip Daly, representing Senate District 13, here to present SB 376. So over the interim, I was asked by Mr. Beeman here if we could look at a piece of legislation to address heart and lung issue that they were having. So he's going to present going forward. I just have a couple comments at the beginning. So this area of law, I think, is pretty easy to understand, but it's not really very well known. But essentially, the legislature has said police and fire have a right to have heart and lung issues addressed through workman's comp. And then we have set up a method for them to gain access to this benefit that's been given by the legislature. And that's where the problem that this bill is trying to solve is, has there really been access? So essentially, they were supposed to develop a list. People would be able to access a doctor of their choice off that list. So we have an issue on what actual access looks like. Are the doctors available, and can they get treatment within a reasonable period of time? I think 30 days is what's being proposed. And when that doesn't happen, we're saying that the person who's affected, which is really a workman's comp claim, can go to any doctor he can go in to see within that time frame, get the treatment that he needs, and if he pays for it directly, he or she pays for it directly, or they have their private insurance, not workman's comp, pay that they can get reimbursed from workman's comp for that doctor, even though it may not be one of the ones they recommend or in their network, et cetera. But it's really about getting that access. And then if the workman comp provider, whether it's a self-insured group, or a fully insured provider for that workman's comp, doesn't reimburse, then there would be the triple penalty that's in the bill. So it's really pretty straightforward on access for this treatment that has been granted by the legislature, and we want to make sure they have that. So Mr. Beeman, after that, we'll go through the bill, and if he has more comments, we'll be happy to hear them. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Ryan Beeman representing the professional firefighters in Nevada. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of SB 376. I'm here today to express my strong support for SB 376 as a critical piece of legislation that addresses the unique challenges faced by firefighters and police officers in our state. As firefighters and police officers, we are willing to put our lives in the line to protect our communities. However, the nature of our work exposes us to significant health risks, including occupational diseases such as lung disease and heart disease, which are covered under statutes NRS 617-455 and NRS 617-457, which are uploaded on Nellis. These conditions are not just statistics, they are the lived realities of many of my colleagues who have dedicated their lives to public service. The current statute places the responsibility of maintaining these rights and benefits with the Department of Business and Industry through the DIR, Department of Industrial Relations. Injured workers throughout the state rely on these agencies to do their part in ensuring there are enough medical providers to be able to meet the needs of the injured employee. Unfortunately, these employees with occupational lung or heart disease injuries find themselves without an avenue for care when there are too few providers and specialties that treat these type of injuries. While the DIR has the responsibility of providing an adequate list of physicians to the administrator no later than October 1st of each year and have that list certified by an adjuster, this process still does not ensure the adequate providers needed for the injured worker for treatment. The current statute requires that organizations' provider lists accomplish three things. First, it must ensure accessibility, availability of adequate treatment. It must provide an adequate choice of healthcare providers. Last, quality care must be not be compromised. SB 376 takes an important step ensuring that firefighters, police officers diagnosed with these occupational diseases have access to care they need. By allowing injured employees to seek treatment from a physician of their choice when a specialized care is limited, the bill acknowledges the urgency and complexity of treating these conditions. It also ensures the financial burden of these treatment doesn't fall on the shoulders of those who have already sacrificed as much for their communities. SB 376 allows firefighters and police officers diagnosed with occupational lung and heart disease to seek treatment from a physician of their choice if the existing panel lacks significant doctors. The bill mandates prompt reimbursement of out-of-pocket medical expenses related to the occupational disease. This reduces financial stress and ensures firefighters and police officers can focus on recovery without worrying about delayed payments. By addressing the gaps in the current system, SB 376 acknowledges the risks firefighters and police officers face and provides stronger support for their health and well-being. The bill enforces penalties for delayed reimbursements, and this ensures that firefighters and police officers receive the benefits they are entitled to without unnecessary delays. This legislation is not just about fairness, it's about recognizing the unique risk and sacrifice inherent in our profession. It sends a clear message that Nevada values its first responders and is committed to supporting them in their names in time of need. I can walk real quickly through the bill, each section, Madam Chair, real quick. In page 3, section 2 of the bill, it just introduced a provision for injured firefighters and police officers suffering from occupational lung and heart disease. It allows these employees to seek treatment for services from a physician outside the main panel by the administrator of the Division of Industrial Relations under certain circumstances, specifically if the panel contains fewer than 12 physicians who accept and treat employees in a relative specialization. Additionally, this section mandates full reimbursement for the cost of such treatment or services. If reimbursement is delayed beyond the 30 days, the administrator is required to impose penalties, including the triple reimbursement amount for each day of the delay that was mentioned by Senator Daley. Page 3, section 2, it allows the employee to seek treatment for services for physician of their choice, as I stated earlier, if it contains only fewer than 12 qualified professions. Page 4, section 2, established a clear mechanism for reimbursement, ensuring that the employee of their insurer are not financially burdened with seeking necessary treatment outside the designated panel. As someone who has witnessed firsthand the physical and emotional toll of an occupational disease of our firefighters, this is very important. Page 4, section 2, it allows this these employees to seek medical treatment of services from physician outside the panel, as I mentioned before, on the DIR. Page 4, Section 2, subsection 7 outlines a reimbursement protocol enabling injured employees of those who pay for their treatment to seek full reimbursement from the employer. This ensures that the financial barriers do not hinder an appropriate medical care. That outlines, page 4 outlines definitions of the bill. We do have a couple of conceptual amendments. One that Senator Daley approved, and it's up on Nellis. When LCB was drafting, we missed a couple definitions. One is just an outline of our health benefit plans, which is some of our self-funded groups, and includes that definition. And then also what the definition of accept and treat means, accepting new patients, and then also meeting with that injured employee within 30 days for their first appointment. The conceptual friendly amendment, I believe will be spoken from somebody from down south, so I won't cover that if that's okay, Madam Chair. I know I went that through fairly quickly, and many of our members wanted to testify on this issue. We understand your time is precious. I do have 2 members down in the south, if they could just give their examples really quickly, and then we'll be ready for any questions. I think they're coming to the table.
And the members down south may begin when they're ready.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Orton, Ryanorton. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you all today about my experiences and give my support of SB 376. There are many details I'd like to share with you about the workers' comp process and its shortcomings. However, in the interest of time, I'd like to stick to what's applicable to SB 376. Throughout my statements, when I refer to workers' comp, I'm kind of bundling it all together. There is Clark County workers' comp, there is Corvell, the administrator that workers' comp uses, and then now there is Eagle One, who is a third-party nurse management office. So I'm communicating with all of these people. I'm kind of just referring to them all as workers' comp in my statements for clarification. I first started to seek treatment for my symptoms in November of 2023. As part of the reopening of my accepted claim, I was required to go see a quick care doctor at a UMC Quick Care. This doctor's job was not to necessarily provide treatment, but to give his opinion on the reopening of my claim on whether my current symptoms were related to my claim. He also set forth a treatment plan. However, he was not actually able to treat until the decision was made on the reopening approval. I left that appointment after sitting with him and describing my symptoms with 3 referrals. One was for a pulmonologist, one was for a cardiologist, and one was for an ear, nose, and throat doctor. His notes were sent to workers' comp, and a unfortunate and predictable denial is what came my way for what was already an accepted claim. The next thing that happened was an 8-month battle with workers' comp, to include having to go sit in front of a hearings officer, retell the story, have a lawyer on the workers' comp side basically tell lies right in front of me about a conversation that me and my doctor had that they were not even privy to. They were not even in the room for. But yet, for some reason, they thought that they had an opinion on what was said in that meeting. I was completely caught off guard. I had no idea what was happening. However, that created enough doubt in the hearings officer's mind to order what's called an independent medical evaluation, or IME. This is basically another doctor's opinion, retelling the story again to get their opinion on whether my current symptoms are related to my original claim. In June of 2024, after that IME decision was found in my favor, I won the right to finally seek treatment for the pulmonary and cardiac symptoms I was experiencing. This was now an 8-month delay just to start the process to being able to have the right to go and see a doctor. I take my doctor choices very seriously. I strongly believe that a doctor-patient relationship is an important one, and it needs to be the right fit. If you've ever been to a practitioner who you thought didn't listen to you, gave you the shortest amount of time in the room, or just tried to push medications on you, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So when it was finally time for me to choose to go see a doctor, workers' comp approved me from those 3 referrals to see a pulmonologist only. I thought at this point the process was going to get a lot easier because I thought in my head I was just going to see the same pulmonologist that everyone on the fire department sees. It's kind of a standard that everyone goes and sees the same pulmonologist. So when I asked to see that doctor, the response I got from workers' comp is that doctor is no longer seeing workers' comp patients. I asked for more referrals or more suggestions from people I knew about different pulmonologists to go see. We tried 3 or 4 pulmonologists, and they all came back, no, we are no longer seeing workers' comp patients. At this point in time, I was getting a list by Clark County Workers' Comp for pulmonologists only, and on their list, there was 11 doctors on that list. I had also received a list from my labor union, which was the DIR panel list, which included 33 doctors at this point in time. However, these 3 or 4 choices that we've already tried were all on that list. So I asked the question, hey, I've already tried 3 or 4 doctors on your list. Where do I go from here? Do I just start calling down the whole list? Well, basically that started an audit from Eagle One, which is the nurse management agency. They decided to go down that DIR list and audit it themselves by calling each doctor and asking if they were still accepting workers' comp patients or not. The response I got back was that from the 33 doctors on the DIR list, there was 1 pulmonologist who was still willing to see workers' comp patients. And I told you earlier about an IME that I was required to have as part of my hearing process. Well, workers' comp decided that the person that should do that IME was a pulmonologist. And there was a lot of confusion about who does IMEs and how to do that. They basically set me up with the last pulmonologist that they had to do an IME. And because of that IME, I was told that that last remaining pulmonologist on the list was now disqualified from being my treating physician because he did my IME. So basically at that point in time, that left me with 0 pulmonologists on the list and 0 doctors to go see. The end result of that was workers' comp, or in this case, Eagle One, the nurse management agency, reaching out to a single doctor, getting a single doctor to agree to see me. However, there was no patient choice in selection of that doctor. They said, hey, we found someone for you. Here's your appointment. You're going to go see this doctor. And that's kind of where we're at on the pulmonologist front. In the process of me not being able to find a pulmonologist and workers' comp wanting me to be seen by a doctor, they also then approved me to go see the cardiologist portion of the referral. At the time of that process, the DIR list had 95 available cardiologists. Again, I thought I was going to see the same one that everyone on the fire department sees. Again, that was a no. That doctor would no longer see workers' comp patients. After 3 or 4 attempts at cardiologists, the same informal audit took place, and it reduced the number from 95 available cardiologists to 27 cardiologists on that list. Those 27 cardiologists are comprised of 2 practices here in town in Las Vegas. I requested appointments from my top 3 choices from the remaining 27 and was told that any of those 3 choices would be a 6-month wait to get an appointment to get in and see that cardiologist. The end result was me seeing my 4th choice, or in this case, after, it was actually my 7th choice overall, due to the long wait times from the 6-month waits to see that doctor. To this day, the referral for the ENT, and I know this doesn't apply to the heart and lung portion, but to this day, I've still not been able to get in to see an ENT, ear, nose, and throat. As I was told again that there are 0 available doctors remaining on the DIR list that will see workers' comp patients for anything other than cosmetic reasons. So in summary, and kind of keeping box score of this whole thing, there was the 8-month delay just to win the right to see the doctor. For the pulmonologist, from claim acceptance to actual appointment, it was a 5-month wait. I had 0 doctor choices and was just arbitrarily assigned one. On the cardiology side, from claim acceptance to cardiologist appointment, it was a 6-month wait. Supposedly there were 31 doctor choices from 2 practices in town. I tried some choices. I was told 6-month wait, so I finally ended up with my 4th choice of doctor. And to this day, it's been 10 months, and I still have not had the ability to see an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and I have 0 doctor choices. So in summary, I think it's very clear that the law as it's currently written is not working in the areas of patients having the ability to choose their doctor or be able to be seen in an acceptable time frame. I've heard stories such as mine echoed over and over again by my coworkers as far as trying to find doctors or get in to see doctors in a timely manner. The issues are systemic in nature and they need to be addressed. Lastly, without pointing fingers or attempting to place blame on wherever the current law falls short, we're all working within the same system. In the end, the people that are taking the brunt of it are those affected, and those affected the most are the injured workers. Thank you again for allowing me to sit in front of you today and tell you my story, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you so much. We had 15 minutes allocated for the entire presentation, and we're at about 17 or 18 right now. I know there's one other speaker, so we want to hear from you, and we're going to allow you to speak, but please try to keep comments brief because we're already over the whole of the presentation time. And we thank you both so much for being here because your stories are so valuable, and we really appreciate what you're sharing, and it's very important to the Senate bill we're hearing this morning. Thank you. You may proceed when you're ready.
My name is Brad Brazil, Brazzeal, captain with the Clark County Fire Department, 20 years of service. I'm just going to tell you a really quick story. I'll shorten it, and it ties into what we're dealing with today. So I had the unfortunate opportunity to be diagnosed with occupational cancer. I was given a list because of the nature of the cancer. I was given the DIR and said, hey, we want to hurry up with this, go through these doctors, call the ones you want, see if you can get an appointment, get seen. So I started down that list. I went through that entire list and never found a doctor. Either they were retired, no longer in practice, no longer accepting workers' comp, or unable to take my case due to the nature of it. I was then told, well, you can just go find your own doctor, and as long as they accept the Nevada fee schedule, you can see that doctor. I don't know if you've ever called a doctor's office, but it's pretty hard to call a doctor's office and say, hey, I'm not a patient of yours, but would you mind if I talk to the doctor real quick and just ask him a question if he'll accept a workers' comp? You can't do that. You talk to the front desk and they say, we hope you find the treatment you need. We wish you the best of luck, but we don't accept workers' comp or the Nevada fee schedule. Good luck in your search. It took months to find a doctor, which I finally did at UCLA because they take all kinds of insurances and all kinds of work comp down there because of the nature of the teaching school. That puts us in a place that I call no man's land. If you can imagine insurance on one side and workers' comp on the other side, insurance won't touch it because it's a workers' comp claim. Workers' comp wants to cover it, but they don't have any doctors to send you to. They're asking you to go find one and ask them to accept the Nevada fee schedule, which is a very difficult task to do, as you can imagine. This experience hurt me a little bit. I felt like I was kind of alone at that time. And so I got on the local 1908 executive board and joined the worker comp team to kind of help my brothers and sisters through the same type of things. Since that time, and I've been doing that about 4 years now, this situation has gotten worse, with the pinch point being heart and lung. We have several members that we are trying to work with, not just Ryan here, but several other members that we're trying to work with that are waiting and waiting and waiting to see a doctor. Meanwhile, they've been diagnosed with something that is hard for them and their families to accept. And they're trying to find treatment for this, and they can't. And they're just in this limbo, this no man's land between the two, with no help from either. And it's a very, very sad place to be. It's a lonely place to be. The thing I hear the most is, it's not, I can't believe the job that I love did this to me. It's not, I can't believe this happened to me. We're a group of firefighters. We're a group of police. We want to tackle this. We want to fight. And what happens is, the thing I hear the most is, you know, I've given 5, I've given 10, 15, 25, whatever the years are of service. I have gone above and beyond. I have done everything that has been asked of me and more. And when I got sick, I feel like they turned their backs on me. And my response is always the same. It's not a person that has turned their back on you. It is a system that needs adjustment because the system at this time is broken. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
And thank you both so much for your service, for sharing your stories, and for all the work you've done in the community. And we really appreciate you sharing with the committee today. Does the committee have any questions for these two gentlemen? Senator Rogish.
Good morning, and thank you for the presentation. Just a quick question. When you have to go out of state, I'm not overly familiar with the process that you undergo. Do you need pre-authorization as well in finding a doctor that would accept the process?
You do, yes.
Thank you.
And these are questions just for the two gentlemen who just spoke, and we'll open it up to everyone else in just a moment. Senator Ellison.
Yeah, maybe you could answer, the other two could answer. What seems to be the problem with the state's workman comp insurance? I mean, is it non-payment or denials? Or, I mean, this kind of a shock to hear that here it's a state insurance program and the denying to take the patients. Can you explain that?
For the record, Ryan Beeman representing the professional firefighters in Nevada. Through the chair to Senator Ellison. It's not the state that is accepting denial. All of it lies on the local government with their third-party administrator to accept or deny claims. There was actually a report recently that was supplied from the DIR to the appeals officers recently that talked about that what is the real issue with all these claims that are 6 months and older for heart and lung. And it comes down to basically they wrote in the report the medical questioning propounding discovery claims that they had is taking over 2 years for accepted denial of these type of claims. And it was determined that most of the delays were due to medical questions and medical prepondering discovery is what took so long for all these type of claims.
If I can, Madam Chair, just real quick, Senator Ellison. So it comes down to who's providing the workman's comp coverage, right? So if you have a local government, they can be self-insured, which means they have a process, and then that whole process of their third-party administrator is determining these claims. It's not the state that provides it. Or you can be a fully insured, somebody like employers or all of the other fully insured that you have a contract and you buy insurance from them, and you pay them a premium. Or it can be a self-insured group that you're working with. But there's a third-party administrator and a process that's basically either self-insured by the government or you're buying insurance through another vendor. So it's not the state.
I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions to everyone sitting at the table here, both in Carson City and in Las Vegas, and we'll go to Senator Ellison for his follow-up. And also, I'd like to just say thank you so much to the two gentlemen who came in today to share their stories with us. With that, Senator Ellison.
I think it's a tragedy that we're in this kind of situation. Is there an appeal process? We got the state here with the insurance. I tell you what, my wife used to say that she must have been an insurance agent in a previous life, because I tell you what, every time we tried to have problems with insurance, it got worse and worse and worse. And they denied every claim my son had, and we had full coverage and ended up dying from it. So I don't know what we can do to make this better, or what we can do. And maybe, Skip, you got some ideas, but I think that something we need to check into to protect these employees.
If I can, Madam Chair, Skip Daly again for the record. I think I forgot to say it last time, my bad. So yes, and I know you weren't here last session, Senator, but we did pass a bill last session. If you guys remember, Kim Frankel came in with a self-insured employer, Washoe County, denying. in the process that we went through, we increased the benefit penalty to a minimum of, I think, $17,500, a maximum of $120. If the injured employee wins the determination at the hearing level and the insurer wants to go to court and they lose, then that benefit penalty is doubled. There are a few things. It wasn't the thing that fixes everything, and this is related, but not exactly. So what they're trying to do, and this is limited to police and fire, on the benefit for heart and lung, to try to get them access to the doctors they need to see. So if there's not a doctor on the list, like I said, they can go and get their own doctor, whether or not that doctor accepts the Nevada reimbursement rate or whatever or not. Get the doctors on the list and you solve the problem. If you don't, then these people need and deserve and can go get treatment under this bill. And if they aren't fully reimbursed, either their private insurance that paid for it under a subrogation type situation or the individual that paid for it. If they aren't reimbursed by whoever is providing the workman's comp insurance, then there's the penalty that's in the bill. So we are trying to address it. We made some good progress last session. If an insurer goes through that and gets the benefit penalty, the other thing that was done in the bill last session, that has to be reported to the insurance commissioner, who then now is aware of it and has the ability to investigate and find out what's going on and potentially pull their license if it's egregious and those types of things are happening. So I think we've made some progress, but this is a separate little nuance to that on heart and lung for police and fire.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? I'm Senator Lang.
Thank you. I have lots of thoughts about this, but let me just ask a couple questions. So this is a problem with the municipalities. Is that what I'm understanding? Because you talk about the state and then you talk about the cities.
Yeah, no problem. Ryan Beeman for the record, representing the professional firefighters in Nevada, through Madam Chair to Senator Lang.
And you can go direct. Thank you so much.
Senator Lang, the problem is that by statute, there's supposed to be at least 12 doctors on the list. And when as you heard some of the testimony, there's not 12 on the list. And actually, we've had a recent conversation with DIR, and like for pulmonologists, there's only 4 that are available. And those 4 all are in Southern Nevada. So we have members that are in the rest of the state. There's not even access to them for in the northern part. And then the other thing we started finding out, and that's why we said accept and treat, is that we're finding that a lot of those cardiologists or doctors are 4 to 6 weeks out or 6 months out before they actually will even see a patient. And when you need cardiology, I mean, that's not acceptable either. So that's why we had that definition in there. So the problem is the state is supposed to be providing an adequate list for the members to be able to have that patient choice. In 2019, there was that determination, what is adequate, and that's where they came up with the 12 that are supposed to be on the list.
Follow up, please. Okay, thank you. So the list of doctors, is that list provided by the workman's comp? You said the state, but I'm just wondering, because I remember talking about this a few sessions ago, because it's something that has never gone away and has built up, right? And so I'm just trying to figure out the role of the workman's comp. And are these doctors, did they make the list because the workman's comp people thought that they should be on the list? Do you see where I'm going with this?
For the record, Ryan Beeman representing the professional firefighters, Senator Lang. The doctors can, so the DIR can go out and advocate to try to get people onto the list. The doctors can make an application to come onto the list. A lot of doctors that have come onto the list are fairly new doctors building their clientele. Once they get that, usually then, they fall off the list or they just stay on the list. It's never purged. The local governments actually have their own preferred list, but they have to go through the same process. And that's where one of the examples we're given in Southern Nevada, their workers' comp, they give them their preferred list. So like Clark County, they'll have their preferred list. And they started going down that one. And then also there's the DIR has their own list that you can choose from.
Follow up again. Thanks. So I am very uncomfortable with how the lists are made. And I think that this is a good bill and it's something that we need to do. And thank you for bringing it.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions from the committee? Okay. Thank you so much. We'll have you step back from the table. We really appreciate the presentation this morning. I think it was very enlightening. And we are going to open up for testimony in support of Senate Bill 376. We'll start with our physical locations, and then we will move to the phones. And you may begin when you're ready.
Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. Jason Lesher with the Washoe County Sheriff Deputies Association and the Public Safety Alliance of Nevada, representing the vast majority of law enforcement officers in the state. Just to address, Senator Daley mentioned Kim Frankel, who was one of my members, and her case. Her neurologist, just as an example, was so frustrated with how she was being treated by the work comp system that he now refuses to see work comp patients. And at that time, I haven't gone back and looked at the list, but that left us with 0 neurologists in northern Nevada that would take work comp. Currently in northern Nevada, there's not an ear, nose, and throat doctor that will take work comp, so patients have to be sent down to Las Vegas. And I also have a member that has to have regular visits with a urologist, which we don't have in northern Nevada. So once again, they get sent out of state. So we fully support this bill. I don't think it's going to solve the problem, but it's going to give the members some additional options and hopefully get the treatment a little more quickly, which is what we all want here. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, committee members. Todd Inglesby, President of Professional Firefighters Nevada. Just want to thank Senator Daley for bringing this important legislation. Want to thank you all for hearing this. I know the testimony has been long, but we actually have hundreds of people lining up to give that same testimony. We chose 2 because we thought that story really related. We actually have been brainstorming this idea and trying to figure out joint solutions for several years. We thought we would try to do it like Senator Daley said in 2019 by making those names on that list that to be updated. The audit's supposed to be handled in October. We had a conversation with DIR on this week. There was 127 doctors just relating to cardiologists and pulmonologists on their list. They told us they're down to 47 cardiologists and 4 pulmonologists. And that was supposed to be done in October. We just want to get our members treated. We want to get our members healthy again. We want to get our members back to work. Our members want to get back to work. This not only puts a stress on their family, but this also puts a stress on our departments, our other members who now have to pick up the workload. The cost of this is very compounding because, again, we not only have members who are trying to see doctors and they can't, but then we have people who are having to pick up their slack because those members are off duty and not able to do what they're supposed to do on a daily basis. And that stress of them trying to get a list, and on that list, there's no doctors to see you. It gets pretty frustrated. These things that we're focusing on, heart and lung, these kill our members. Cardiac is the number 1 killer. Cancer is number 1 or 2. You can go back and forth. That's why we chose these. We think the system is broke. We are open to suggestions. We suggested, can they ask questions? Is it a pay thing? Is it a process thing? Are they asking, is DIR asking doctors why they're not wanting to be on this list, why they're choosing not to see patients? And we didn't really get a clear answer. So again, this is about our members. This is about people's lives, and we think this should be addressed, and we ask for your support. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name's Tom Dunn. I'm a district vice president for the Professional Firefighters in Nevada, representing Reno Sparks and Reno Airport. I'm also a vice president of the Reno Firefighters Association. I'm a 25-year firefighter. And for the last 15 years, I have been representing my fellow union members as a work comp specialist for my local, trying to get their, whether it be heart, lung, cancer, back claims accepted by the system. Police and fire in Nevada have a conclusively presumed legislative benefit under the statute. However, there is no benefit when it takes months to get to a cardiologist appointment than have the TPA continue to drag out the claim. Currently in Northern Nevada on the state DIR list, there's 2 cardiologists and there are 0 pulmonologists. While the independent TPAs are required to maintain a list by the state as well, we have the same similar issues of people that take one claim, they're a cardiologist, but they won't take workers' comp. They may be used as an IME, and then you're forced to find somebody else on the list to ultimately take your claim. Thank you to Mr. Beeman for bringing up that state DIR report. It talks about claims taken over 25 months. That report went back to 2023, and I can tell you that on that report, there are 2 of my members that their claims took in excess of 6 months. One of them was 1 year and 11 months, and the other one was 28 months. And that is time and money that are out of the pocket of local government and our taxpayers. So you have a firefighter that can't get a diagnosis or can't get treatment or can't get his claim accepted so he can officially retire. And now you have a person that is working overtime or force hire to fill that vacancy. And more importantly, you can't hire a new employee in a timely manner while these claims are being dragged out. So I'm here to encourage you to accept this bill today. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the Senate Commerce and Labor Committee, my name is Jason Mills. I am with the Nevada Justice Association. I've been practicing workers' compensation law for 25 years, and I've had the honor and privilege of my career to represent firefighters and police officers in this specific area of law. The testimony that you heard from firefighters Orton and Brazel are not anomalies. They happen on nearly every single claim for heart and lung coverage for police officers and firefighters. It is a significant problem. Senator Rogich, earlier I heard you ask the question about pre-authorization from out of state. I could tell you that there is no statutory provision that allows for them to leave. That is a major problem. I can also tell this committee something that is very, very important that Senator Lang asked about, that the master list that's put forth by the DIR merely allows a doctor to sign up for that list. That doctor is supposed to be signing up and saying that they will accept and treat workers' compensation claims. The problem is that the vast majority of them are not doing that. And then each insurer, city, town, etc., are effectively using that master list to compile their sublist of the same doctors who are not accepting and treating these claims. This is the most important component, I believe, of this bill that Senator Daley has got before you, and that is to accept and treat this care. The NJA is in strong support of this particular bill, and I encourage you all to vote in favor of it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Carlos Hernandez, representing the Nevada State AFL-CIO. We'd like to echo the comments made by the professional firefighters of Nevada, as well as their members, and urge the committee to support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much to those that have testified in support of Senate Bill 376 in Carson City. I don't see anyone at the table in Vegas, so broadcast, is there anyone on the phone line who'd like to testify in support of Senate Bill 376?
There are no callers in support at this time.
Thank you so much. That will move us to testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 376. We'll start in our physical locations, and then we will move to the phones.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Nicole Rourke representing the city of Henderson. First, I want to say we certainly believe that our first responders ought to be getting the care that they need. We're here in opposition under the rules of the committee because there's some technical changes we would like to work with the proponents of the bill on that we've requested, but we did it late yesterday, and so we'd like to work further with them for consideration of those. And with that, I will just thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Kelly Crompton representing the city of Las Vegas. We also would like to put our opposition on the record just because of the technical changes that the city of Henderson mentioned. We are in support of working with the bill sponsors to hopefully work on the amendment she proposed to them yesterday. Thanks. Okay. I don't see anyone else coming forward in our physical location, so broadcast, we will head back to you in the phones for anyone who'd like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 376.
Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
And that moves us to where you guessed we'd be next, neutral. So anyone who'd like to come up in neutral on Senate Bill 376? All right, I was looking at Mr. Plain, but he's not coming forward. All right, I'm so used to you being here. All right, so with that said, we do have some coming forward in Las Vegas, and we will have you begin when you're ready.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Dean Hardy. I am the Senior Appeals Officer for the Department of Administration's Hearing and Appeals Division. And of course, we hear these contested industrial insurance matters. I'm here to speak in terms of the in neutral for this particular bill. But before I start, I'd like to thank you, Madam Chair, also Senator Daley and Mr. Beeman for their work in helping us develop some amendments to this that will assist us in the development of our electronic filing system. Now, obviously, it is completely inapposite to the issue in front of you today, but the issue of the electronic filing system was something that we needed to do, and the amendments are in Nellis relative to the authorizing us at the appeals office to serve and preserve notice and send decisions out in the electronic filing system that we are developing and are about to launch.
Did you have any further testimony?
Dean Hardy, I do not, Madam Chair. If you'd like me to read those amendments, I'm happy to. If not, I can answer any questions that you might have.
All right. Do we have any questions from the committee? Okay, it doesn't look like we have any questions for you, so we will move, unless the other speakers are with you, we will move to the next speaker.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Victoria Carrion for the record. I am the administrator of the Division of Industrial Relations. We want to thank Senator Daley and Mr. Beeman for bringing this legislation forward. We are neutral today and wanted to kind of clarify a few of the issues that have arisen and also point to a few issues you may want to consider. So first, the Division of Industrial Relations is responsible for maintaining the treating panel that you have heard about. Doctors actually apply to us and indicate they want to be on the panel. And then every insurer is required to have a list of providers that is a subset of our list. It is a high priority for our office to ensure that there are adequate choices of doctors for injured workers. And we have a new medical chief in our workers' compensation section who's been working very hard to actively recruit doctors in fields where we feel there is not sufficient choice. In addition, after Senator Daley told us about bringing this bill forward, we did conduct an audit of all of the cardiologists and pulmonologists that are on our panel, and there were originally 127 total. We have been able to date to verify that 41 of the cardiologists are actively taking workers' compensation patients and 10 of the pulmonologists. Originally it was 4 when we spoke to Mr. Beeman and Mr. Inglesby. However, we have since then been able to verify that 10 of the pulmonologists on the panel are willing to take workers' compensation patients actively currently. 9 doctors did tell us that they were not interested in seeing workers' compensation patients any longer, so those have actively been removed from the panel. The remaining we are still working with to verify whether they are still in practice in Nevada. We have our staff going out on site to go verify those and communicate with them by letter or email, however we can. So any of those in the end that are no longer willing to take injured workers will be removed from our list. So we wanted to let you know that that is a high priority for us, and we are actively recruiting and have worked with the hearings division, and we've worked with the Clark County Medical Society trying to improve the number of choices for injured workers. The other thing I wanted to mention is that you may want to look at NRS 616C 135 sub 1 because that under current law indicates that a healthcare provider may not charge an injured worker for treatment for an industrial injury or occupational disease. So you may want to look at whether you want to adjust that section. It indicates instead that you must charge the insurer. So that's something you may want to look at. And then sub 2 of 616C.135 also indicates that the providers must use the medical fee schedule when they charge for the services. And so I know that the bill talks about full reimbursement, but the full reimbursement would be limited to the fee schedule. So if you want to have an exemption to that, you may want to consider looking at that provision as well. And with that, we're happy to answer any questions. And also with me today is Jody McCollins, who is our chief of our workers' compensation section. Thank you.
Thank you. The question that comes to mind, and I'll look to the committee in a moment, is how many of those cardiologists and pulmonologists are in northern Nevada or in the rurals?
Good morning, Jody McCollins for the record, JODIMCCOLLINS, Chief Administrative Officer of the Workers' Comp Section. Pulmonologists in Nevada, we have confirmed 10 on our list. 3 are in northern Nevada. As cardiologists, we do have in the north and the south. However, I don't have the number for the amount located in the northern region.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being here today. I think, you know, part of the reason we wonder why is just, and also out in the rurals, is ensuring care throughout the entirety of the state. But I believe Senator Steinbeck also had a question.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. My question is, how often do you audit your list? And also, what do you do when one of the claimants or patients will notify you that a doctor, in fact, will not accept their claim or accept to treat them?
Victoria Carrion for the record, Administrator of the Division of Industrial Relations. Thank you so much for the question. So there is a complaint process that is in effect, and that was put into law in the last legislative session that says that people can complain and send a complaint to the division if they have identified a doctor that does not treat injured workers who is on our list. And so we do conduct investigations of those. There are not regular audits to see, well, actually, that's not true. There are regular audits that are done on an annual basis to make sure that we have all of the doctors on the panel are currently licensed. However, there is not usually a regular audit to find out if they're actually interested and committed to continuing to treat injured workers. So we did do a special audit in this case because we knew this was brought to our attention. So if there's any other questions, happy to answer. Thank you.
Are you considering revising that policy to include that in your annual audits?
Victoria Carrion for the record, in the past we have talked about possibly doing an annual recertification for doctors and making sure that they want to continue being on the panel. There's been concerns about that, whether that would result in doctors not responding and having fewer doctors on the panel. So that's something that we have been continuing to talk to various stakeholders about. Thank you.
I believe Senator Lang may have also had a question.
Hi, so I hear you talk about fewer doctors, which I think is a problem across our state. And I'm wondering why we can't let patients go out of state because we don't have the number of doctors in our state to be able to handle these situations?
Victoria Carrion for the record. That is really more of a policy issue. And I don't think that, that's something that we really have a say in. Thank you.
Thank you. Does your department ever remove doctors from the list? Decisions that you make? I know that you've said that doctors remove themselves from the list, but do you ever remove people from the list?
Victoria Carrion for the record. So thank you, Senator. So yes, we do remove doctors from the list after we've investigated and determined that they are no longer willing to treat injured workers. We also remove them because of disciplinary issues. So there's a whole criteria that allows us to remove doctors from the list. So we do that. We also remove doctors from the list if they are deceased or they've moved out of state. So those are things that we do on a regular basis. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all so much for coming up to testify in neutral today. And with that, I don't see anyone else in our physical location. So broadcast, we're going to move to the phones to see if there's anyone in neutral on Senate Bill 376.
To testify in neutral, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll welcome our bill sponsors up to make any closing remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Skip Daly again for the record. As you can hear, there is a problem. We're trying to get it solved. I think the accept and treat language on the 30 days will be useful. And this is just trying to provide an off-ramp, if you will, if they can't go through the normal channels to get the treatment they need in a reasonable time frame. There's an off-ramp option. Some of the other details were brought up by DIR are important. I'm hoping Mr. Beeman here will work with that. And I would tell the chair that Mr. Beeman's going to kind of take the lead on this, and any amendments they come forward with, I'm going to consider friendly. Because they're closest to it and have the best information. So I want to let them work through it as best they can.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ryan Beeman, representing the professional firefighters in Nevada. Thank you for the opportunity today, and we will continue to work with the other stakeholders in this bill. We were, just like the representative from Henderson said, that we were presented with an amendment. We just seen it yesterday, but we will continue to work with them and try to address some of their concerns because they also see that there is a problem. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your bill presentation on Senate Bill 376, and thank you so much to the firefighters that came forward today to share their personal stories. I think they were very impactful for the committee. With that, we'll close the bill hearing on Senate Bill 376 and move into our final order of business, which is public comment. Members of the public may provide public comment in person, by phone, or submit written public comment to the committee's email address. Instructions for providing public comment may be found on the agenda, including the call-in information. We look forward to hearing your comments and ask that you keep them brief and please avoid repetition made by previous speakers. Due to time constraints, we may need to move on to the next person. In such a case, we do ask that you send your public comment in writing to the committee's email address. Finally, clearly state and spell your name for the record. We will begin with public comment in our physical locations, and then we will move to the phones. And I don't see anyone coming to the tables for public comment in our physical locations, but broadcast, we are back to you if there's anyone who'd like to make public comment.
If you'd like to participate in public comment, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, the public line is open and working. However, there are no callers at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. With that, we will look forward to seeing everyone at 8 a.m. on Monday, the 31st, and we are adjourned.